How's it going, everybody? This is Seer here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the defenses that I plan to use for this upcoming week in Cosmic Crucible. Now, there's certain rooms in here that I think is really going to end up making the season. The big one I actually think is going to be Stage 3. This one's actually very interesting the more I was trying to take a look at the theory crafting on here. Stage 4 is going to be either a huge efficiency sink, or it's going to end up being kind of a one-win type of team that you can throw in here depending on what you use. Stage 6 is going to be pretty interesting as well, depending on how that ends up kind of playing out. I could see this one kind of being a problem or nothing burger, depending on what you end up throwing in there. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at Stage 1. So Stage 1 is the same stage that we had during the U16, where Fortifier Healers apply 1 vulnerable, Strikers do the 3 vulnerable, and Skirmisher Raiders apply 2 vulnerable. 1 attacking, you gain 100% extra damage per vulnerable that's on you, which basically could wipe your entire team out. At the end of turn, clear all vulnerables. And then the season is really weird. I'm not too keen as far as the season portion goes. I'm wondering if this is leaning more into the third team that we're going to be getting throughout the season. That's going to kind of change this, because that should be a Harbinger Chapter 1 as well, just like the Vigilante and Thunderbolts. Now, for this, Hit Monkey, I believe, applies the vulnerable, or it's going to end up being Silver Sable. I forgot which outside of raids. And then we have Songbird, who's going to be on the Thunderbolts, where she's going to be able to apply vulnerable. And that basically just gets you a free ISO attack when you apply, basically attack into them. I don't see this really being a thing, depending on what that third team's going to end up being for this. So with that being said, the team I'm looking to throw in here is going to end up being a Phoenix Force, Thanos Endgame, Super Skrull, Old Man Logan. The reason I'm looking at this is because we now have 6 teams out here, so people are going to need to try to throw something in here that's going to stop the Super Skrull, whether that's going to be a Captain Britain, a Immortal X-Men, Starjammers. There's a few teams I could try to stop the speed on here. The issue with a lot of those teams is if you throw Cabal into here, you're feeding vulnerables into this team, and when they go, they're going to be hitting you very hard right off the bat, which isn't good for Cabal because they're kind of get wiped out very quickly. Immortal X-Men, they needed to dance around the Thanos endgame, otherwise he's going to end up kind of wiping them out. If you end up throwing Starjammers in here, Starjammers has issues to where they end up flipping their vulnerables into regen, so that's going to cause issues. So I can see this being somewhat of an issue in here. Realistically, you're going to want to throw like maybe a Captain Britain in here, which I actually do have on defense, or a Black Knight, which again I have on defense. So this I think could be pretty interesting as far as what you try to throw into here. So I'm really curious how this is going to end up playing out. As far as ISOs go in here, I do have the 4 strikers. I have a Skirmisher on Phoenix on here. There's 2 characters that also give out vulnerables in here that's going to really ramp up the ability energy that's going to be given out to a lot of these members. I faced this or a similar team of this during the U16, and the Super Skrull ended up wiping me when he got his turn off because I couldn't kill him in time. I killed everybody but him. I believe I might have left Omega Red alive as well. Either way, this one was a very interesting one, so I'm curious how this is going to end up playing out. Stage 2 on offense and defense, all characters on turn. If the character has taunt, gain offense up. On turn, apply assist now to all allies with offense up. Now there's a few characters I do want to discuss in here that really takes advantage of the offense up. The first one's going to be Guardian, where on spawn, he's going to give offense up to the entire team. Cabal is very interesting, whereas trying to think if I want to throw Cabal on defense in here, and what I could end up throwing with them, because Namor on spawn gives offense up to the Cabal allies. Mephisto, when he loses his empowered, will be given offense up to the entire team. That's going to be easily countered by Null, so I didn't want to play into that portion. Apocalypse on his basic, he applies offense up. Hit Monkey, when he does his ultimate, he gives offense up to the entire Vigilante team. I was debating that one, however, Vigilante and offense is something I wanted to try to keep, at least for now. Maybe later on I'll do the Vigilante on defense, but again, the mirror match is pretty easy for that one. Super Skrull, his special, he applies offense up to himself, and Ultimates, when he does the ultimate, will be applying offense up to himself as well. I ended up going a different route. The route I went is Night Stalkers with Scientist Supreme. The reason I wanted to do this one here is because Night Stalkers is still a very strong team, and as you see, I do have some overpowered on Blade and Oath due to the Xavier. And Blade, he ends up flipping offense down into offense up. So if you try to throw offense down into them, that's going to flip into offense up. Then that's going to start getting a lot of assist in here. Man-Thing, he's going to be assisting because of the time that he applies as well. So it's nothing too fancy. I just wanted to lean into it a little bit as opposed to all the way. Another thing I was thinking about doing, Moon Knight on his passive, if there's a deflect, he flips that into offense up. So if you try to find a way with doing like a Captain America with Moon Knight, that could be an interesting option. But Captain America is kind of an old character by now. Moon Knight, he's way too slow. However, when he gets the deflect and does a flip, he does get 20% turn meter. So that is something else you can try to play around with as well. Maybe I could try to do like a Moon Knight here, Captain America right here, so that way that can kind of get flipped. Maybe something like that could end up happening. Then I could use Agatha elsewhere. I don't know. That's just kind of spitballing as I'm recording this video. Stage 3, this one ended up being very interesting the more I thought about it. As opposed to leaning into the portion right here where on a successful critical hit, reduce the target's ultimate energy by 1. That's pretty big. However, the specials cost for less, meaning that certain characters will end up doing their special every single turn as long as they don't get ability blocked. That was something I wanted to play into on here. What I'm going to end up doing is a Black Knight, Captain Britain, New Emma, Mephisto, and Odin. Now I know that Mephisto, he's basically turn 2 is when he does the ultimate. It's turn 2 or 3, and that ends up changing if he ends up getting the crit into him, making it to where he loses the ability energy. If he does a special every single turn, that's not the end of the world. He's going to do like 500% damage plus call the assistant, get trauma, and a lot of negative effects out there. That's actually pretty cool. Black Knight's in here to basically get the pre-taunt retaliates, Captain Britain to stop any of these turn meter if they try to do Starjammers in here. New Emma's going to be in here to stop the speed. Odin, he's going to be doing a special every 4 turns, meaning that he does the special, he gets the charges drop, he can go into the ult, and if you end up leaving that into a bad place, he can get to a special very quickly again. That could be very dangerous. Captain Britain, he would end up doing the special, which is a stun with a rebound every single turn. New Emma, she will end up doing ability block and some nasty effects. This is actually pretty interesting. I don't hate this at all. I want to see how this ends up playing out because I have a feeling that this could be a pretty nasty defense. On paper, it definitely scares me on how I would try to counter this one. Stage 4 is Spore Attack. All characters do damage that reduce the max health of the target by the same amount, increase max health and damage by 50%. I was trying to find a team that would work pretty well in here without kind of hampering me too much, because as you see, I already have a Mephisto, I have an Odin, Black Knight, I have Phoenix Force on defense already. I'm just going to go with the Wanda's Revenge team. They do a lot of retaliates. I'd end up getting Barrier from Invisible Woman, which is pretty cool. This is already a huge efficiency sink, so making it to where there's more of an efficiency sink, I think is going to end up working pretty well in my favor. Now, there was another team I was thinking about doing in here, which we're going to discuss later on, and you can kind of decide how you want to end up playing this. Stage 5, Before the Thunder. On offense and defense, Thunderbolt characters, when this character is attacked, generates 1 ability energy, gain 100% crit chance, and 300% extra focus. Shocker, it's just going to be the Thunderbolts team. On Thursday, we end up getting, or tomorrow that's going to end up being, we end up getting Hyperion. So he's just going to go in here. I'm curious how this is going to play out. I'm actually not too scared of this team because they're not having their raid rules and making it to where you can kind of get through this team. I don't think it's going to be too difficult, but we'll have to see, because if you end up hitting them, you can do a lot of control on them, which means that you could end up not worrying about the ability energy, right? Now, when they hit you, it's going to hurt with that 100% extra crit chance, but that's really about it. Dorky's Broken Headset for Stage 6. This is one where Dorky and I kind of worked together a little bit on this room, and this is exactly what I wanted, but it's pretty close, and I think this could be pretty interesting on here. So on all characters on turn end, remove safeguard and trauma from all characters. On a successful attack, copy and clear all positive effects. Now, I'm going to go with this team. So what we have in here is going to be Kahori with the Liberty team. The reason being is Falcon Joaquin, when any character takes a turn, this team gets speed up. It's any character, not just your opponent. So Kahori gets those 2 turns off the bat. Liberty's going to have speed up basically right off the bat on here. And then they're going to have their immunities as well. And then when Kahori goes, she's going to end up hitting 2 times. So that's going to be 2 basic attacks. She'll take whatever buffs. And then from there, the Liberty team's basically going to start off very quickly, which ends up countering into that Superior 6 team. So this is pretty interesting, making it to where this team doesn't really spawn in with a lot of buffs. They get buffs throughout the match. And then when a character takes their turn for that first turn, they get that speed up and everything. However, due to the speed of this team, they should be able to start taking a lot of buffs away from your opponent if they end up coming in with any. This room here, you need to try to think about bringing something in here or using something in here that doesn't have a lot of buffs. Otherwise, right off the bat, they're going to start taking all the buffs away and you're going to be playing off your back foot. So something I'm curious about is where it says on a successful attack, copy and clear all positive effects. That should be from everybody based on that wording, not just the primary target. So if you end up doing like an AoE hit, that would end up taking all the buffs away. And also with the on turn end, remove safeguard and trauma. If you go in here on turn 1, you'll have your safeguard on you if you end up coming in with somebody like, say, Infinity Watch. As soon as that character takes their turn, at the end of that turn, the safeguard's going to end up dropping away. So that is something you need to take account as well. So this is going to be a very interesting room. Now, initially, I was debating about throwing this team here into stage 4 because Kahori would do those 2 turns. That's going to be doing permanent health damage. And then from there, like Falcon Joaquin will end up going, and then Peggy will go, Captain Sam, and they'll just start hitting into you, and you're not going to be able to heal up to recover, as opposed to the Wanda's Revenge team. So that's why I end up moving this over here, so I can play into, I'm going fast, I'm going to take your buffs away as well, and try to get ahead of you before you start hitting me too much. So that was kind of my thought process between these 2 rooms on why I landed with stage 6 for the Kahori Liberty team. For stage 3, I was thinking about doing a Kahori team in stage 3 as well. However, it's easy to get ahead of your opponent's Kahori, so that's why I wanted to counter any Kahoris that end up going into stage 3. So I threw the Black Knight in here, and then from there I decided to throw Captain Britain. It's like, well, that's going to stop Kahori for sure. So now I need to find a way to stop any Starjammers team. So I threw the Emma in here, and then from there I had Mephisto. Initially had Shadow King as the 5th in stage 3. Having it where Shadow King does the evade, the trauma ability blocks every single turn definitely enticed me. But thinking more about Odin in 3 to where he can special so quickly and so often, and then every time those charges drop, I don't really care about him losing that ultimate ability energy. So that's why I landed with Odin in stage 3. But that is my defense. Now, there is one other thing I wanted to discuss in here, which is the intel. As far as the ranking goes, we can kind of see on here already. For Masters 2, you're getting 27.4k all the way down to 26.5k every week of intel. It's not a bad share. And every KO, you're going to get 145 at this. And looks like that's going to be all the way for Masters. It's 145. Grandmasters gets 150 per KO. And as far as the season, this one here I'm pretty disappointed in. So we have about 40 days, 41 days. And you can see we only get 37.5k all the way down to 28k every 40 days. This feels light to me. The gold is a nothing burger as well. The Dark Diamonds is definitely something, since they just threw Old Man Logan in there. So hopefully they'll start throwing Shadow King in there and everything. But the 40 days of intel, I'm not a fan of that one. But hopefully you guys enjoy this video as far as the intel, the defense options, and everything. If you did, please remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have one for the rest of the day.